I am delighted to be here in Kakamega today at this Investment Climate Summit. Thank you, Governor Barraza, for inviting me back. This is my third visit to your great county. And I'd like to acknowledge President Ruto, PCF's Mudavadi, and all the other distinguished guests, all protocols observed. As Governor Barraza knows, I am a big supporter of what's going on here in Kakamega. But it is built on a very strong U.S.-Kenya partnership of over 60 years. And our partnership has enhanced security, increased prosperity, and improved the lives of Kenyans and Americans. And in fact, Kenya has been invited, with your president as the leader, to a official state dinner in Washington, D.C. in May. This is a big honor for Kenya and underscores our mutual supportive relationship. And you might be interested to know that President Ruto will be the first African head of state since 2008 to be invited to a state dinner. Now, you know I'm bullish on Kenya's economic prospects, and I'm not the only one. Bloomberg, a world leader in business reporting, published a June 2023 article touting Kenya as the Singapore of Africa. I've given a talk about why Africa, why Kenya throughout the country for almost a year, and we even took the speech on the road to the United States, visiting New York, Chicago, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. And I thought I'd hit a few highlights for this audience today. First, the narrative about doing business in Africa from the United States needs updating. What I've learned since arriving in Kenya in August of 2022 is Kenya has a much more dynamic business outlook than most Americans realize. In fact, Kenya's GDP growth in 2023 was 5.2%. That is double the world average. Congratulations to Kenya. That is a big deal. Second, if I were back in the boardroom today, I would have Africa on my radar for two reasons: supply chain diversification and net zero emissions. Single sourcing from any one country is not smart. Single sourcing is a recipe for supply chain disruption and shortage. And businesses are also pushing for net zero emissions to meet their climate change mitigation goals. Cue Kenya. Kenya already generates up to 90% of its electricity from renewable sources, and future additions to the grid will all come from solar, geothermal, and wind sources. So investing in Kenya not only means supply chain diversification, but access to ubiquitous green energy, and any business utilizing Kenya's clean energy will be well on your way to meeting this company's Scope 2, Scope 3 greenhouse emissions goals. So let me back up a minute. Why Africa? As many of you know, by 2050, 1 in 4 humans, a quarter of the world's population, and 1 in 3 working-age people will live in Africa. Africa is a young continent, the youngest in the world, with 60% of its population under 25. Africa is the largest emerging market. It offers the next big prospects for supply chain diversification and expansion of a customer base, much like Southeast Asia experienced 20 years ago. In fact, Africa reminds me of Southeast Asia a number of years ago, and along with it, that incredible opportunity. So that's why Africa would be on my radar and should be on every investor's radar in this audience. But let's zoom in on why Kenya should be your target destination. Kenya is the gateway to the East African market of almost 500 million customers. Kenya is the region's logistics hub. Kenya is the leading regional financial hub. And Kenya, with its Silicon Savannah and super smart engineers, is the region's ICT hub. And Silicon Savannah is thriving and growing fast. And Kenya is now the #1 destination for startup capital on the entire African continent. Kenya has more startup capital than Nigeria and South Africa. And that all happened basically in 2023. Kenya has a young, educated, entrepreneurial, and English-speaking workforce. And as mentioned, Kenya can generate up to 90% of its energy from renewable sources. And Kenya is one of the largest export markets for the United States. One of the largest exports markets for Kenya is the United States, and I think there's a lot more opportunity for Kenya to export to the United States than we have thus far seen. So just a couple of these with a little more detail. As I said, Kenya is already the regional financial hub for East Africa, and as many of you already know, the home to Silicon Savannah, a vibrant technology community that makes Kenya the premier destination for tech investments and all innovation in Africa. And many leading U.S. companies are already here. Foreign direct investment and startup capital. Kenya has attracted significant foreign direct investment and is, as I said, the leading destination for startup capital on the continent. As I said, on a pure startup capital basis in dollars, Kenya leads the continent. And from a workforce perspective, Kenya is English-speaking. As I said, every firm I have spoken to, and I speak to all the foreign direct investors here, they rave about the quality of the Kenyan workforce. I was speaking to an apparel manufacturer the other day who is a global, in fact, the largest apparel cut and sew operation in the world. They said Kenya is their best workforce in the world of 42 countries. So why Kakamega? Finally, I really want to highlight its potential for economic development. As you've already heard from Governor Barasa today, the Kakamega investment strategy is focused on agriculture and industries that support agriculture. I believe that, but I also think there are lots of other opportunities as well. So I want to draw your attention to a few case studies that I think offer the roadmap to success. First is the apparel supply chain. As many of you know, I am really excited about the apparel industry here in Kenya. This sector today already employs nearly 70,000 people in export processing zones and 200,000 Kenyans, and I think has the potential to achieve $600 million in exports by 2025. If Kenya maintains this current trajectory, the industry could add an additional 850,000 jobs and $3 billion in exports in just over the next 10 years. This is a big opportunity. And keys to that growth are counties like Kakamega, Busia, Kilifi, and Nakuru, who are helping Kenya build out a vertically integrated supply chain that not only produces high-end apparel for the world's consumers, but also the very cotton that makes up the textile industry. We're already seeing this happen with Strathmore University's work in Kakamega, Homa Bay, and Busia, where a program to train local farmer groups in the cotton value chain is on fire. As farmers' capacity has increased, so has sales, and cotton sales have jumped an additional 20% just year to date. And investors are taking notice. Cooperative Bank, for example, has already invested over 100 million shillings into the sector, and I'm sure many will follow suit. Now, apparel is not the only area of innovation, not by a long shot. Kakamega is pioneering the path towards sustainable rural water management through its openness to public-private partnerships and innovative solutions. Through a partnership with Rural Water Management Solutions, called RUWASCO for short, people love their acronyms here, and support of USAID's Western Kenya Water Project, the country is revolutionizing its water supply systems with cutting-edge technologies like Scheme Cloud digital billing platform. This approach has significantly improved operational efficiency, revenue collection, water service delivery, and it's showcasing Kakamega's commitment to leveraging technology and professional expertise to enhance the quality of life in rural communities. It's another very big idea. Honey. An innovative company investing in Kakamega is The Hive. The Hive creates economic opportunity, protects water catchment areas, promotes environmental conservation, and increases community livelihood through commercial beekeeping. The Hive is developing beekeeping in 4 water resource user associations in Kakamega, because the company knows that beekeeping is much less water intensive than traditional farming. The Hive provides training and resources to communities on production, collection, aggregation, and processing. It also offers a market for raw materials like honey, royal jelly, wax, venom, and pollen, creating income for communities and access to raw materials for marketable products for the hive that are sold throughout Kenya. And second to last that I want to talk about is peanuts. Ground nuts are another important cornerstone here in Kenya, and one more area where there's huge potential to grow. An affordable source of high-quality nutrition, they're a great way for Kenyans to get the building blocks they need for a healthy life. And the numbers don't lie. Over $100 million worth of ground nuts are imported into East Africa every year. Much of that is to Kenya, which imports over 80% of its peanuts. So this shows market demand, but Kenya has an opportunity to grow peanuts right here in Kakamega and save on foreign exchange by not importing peanuts. Why is Kenya importing peanuts? You should grow it right here. And I'm excited about that because not only can you grow peanuts for Kenya, you should be the exporter of peanuts to other countries in East Africa. And then this is another exciting story. Sometimes you don't know what idea is going to lead to an even better idea. USAID is partnering with a company called Delish and Nutri to not only dramatically expand the quantity and quality of groundnut production here in Kakamega, but also have innovated a new product like peanut powder. Peanut powder, a first in the national market. And peanut powder is set to create nearly $500,000 worth of groundnuts next year and employ over 1,000 farmers. So you never know what you're going to find when you decide to go after something like peanuts. And then last but not least, something you all know, last October 24th, the governor and I were here to celebrate Regen Organics' groundbreaking on their new waste treatment plant here in Kakamega. The ramping up of that plant begins in full force next week, creating over 500 jobs for the county. And in addition, Regen's partner organization, Fresh Life, has developed a plan to also begin collecting waste in Kakamega, as it does in Nairobi and Kisumu, which will increase its fertilizer and insect-based protein production here as well. So, Governor, again, congratulations on getting Regen Organics. It was a competitive bid, and your governor won. So there are many other opportunities for investment in Kakamega, areas like mining, hospitality and ecotourism, sugar, electronics manufacturing, motorcycle assembly, and edible oils, to just name a few. And I am so excited for all that you have going on here. So as many of you know, I've had the privilege of traveling around this wonderful country, and I have seen the entrepreneurial spirit of the Kenyan people. Investment summits like this one are instruments in developing business opportunities and growing prosperities. Kenya is open for business. Kakamega is open for business. And this is the moment to ask yourself, if you're an investor, is there a possibility to expand into Kakamega? And I can assure you, if there is, the governor and his team will welcome you with open arms. So go Kakamega, asante sana, and have a great conference. Thank you very much.